Hey, welcome to a brand new episode of Straight Up Show Podcast. I am your host, Calvin. And today's episode is kind of be special to me because, and Brandon, if you listen, I'm kind of mad at you because you're supposed to be here with me too. But for today's episode, we're actually having a conversation about black men. And I know that's kind of like a risque subject to talk about because, well, black men this, black men this. But like, what I don't think a lot of people understand is that when black men get together, especially like-minded black men, it's a form of escapism that is rare to come by. And I think that a lot of people don't understand how special that is. And if you're a fan of the show, man, it's something that y'all know about me that I hate social media. I hate just like the social media when it comes and depression of social media and the negativity of it. But there is some positives that I have found. And like I said, like I think when it comes to like-minded black men, I'm 35 right now. And it's kind of hard to actually find like-minded black men, especially older black men who actually have been through the same professionalism. Me and Brandon, we are professionals now, but it is kind of a way of seeing that you are by yourself sometimes when it comes to being a black professional. So today's episode, I have a good friend of mine, and how I found him was sporadically. I found him when it was K-Short, went to his TikTok, and man, when I saw a panel of intelligent, deep thought, motivational, life coaching black men, like no amount of money in the world could have made me happy because, being 35 and seeing how the world is today, you don't see this so much. And when it comes to media, you're talking to someone who works in media, you don't see it being glorified. So today's episode is very special because I had to have one of the guys on the episode. So without further ado, help me welcome Dr. Maurice Ball. Dr. Maurice, thank you so much for coming on today, sir.
Oh man, look, I appreciate you inviting me on. It is an honor and a pleasure to sit on your platform and engage with you. I've been looking forward to it since you first asked me, so I'm really excited to be on here and chop it up with you.
Yes, sir, man. So like Dr. Ball, when I first saw you, like I said, I had to come, man. I think I caught the tail end of y'all's TikTok live. That's where I saw y'all at when I met y'all at TikTok live on the panel. And I had to message you right away. I said, man, Dr. Ball, hey, you have to come on my podcast because like the gems y'all were dropping, man, I think the world needs to hear that. And I want to at least, hey, y'all have to be a part of this because like, man, what y'all were saying and what y'all do every Wednesday, right? Man,
Every Wednesday.
it is phenomenal. For the people who don't know you, especially from TikTok, kind of tell us who you are, what you do, and what do y'all do on TikTok?
Well, I am Dr. Maurice Ball, and I am in community development. I'm a husband of 22 years, a father of a 19-year-old. I am an entrepreneur, a community leader, a life coach, a mentor, just kind of all things community. And I do, again, like my day job is community development, so I work within the community, doing social enterprise, helping nonprofits connect people who need work through creating businesses through the nonprofit. So that's my day job. And on TikTok, we have a men's panel every Wednesday at 8:30. It normally centered around coaching people on over 40 trying to get back into the dating world. So that's pretty much the gist of it. So it's normally 9 guys in the box, and then towards the end we'll bring up people to ask questions, and that's how you came up. And just to tell you this, when you came up, man, you was the topic of discussion even after you got off, and even after a couple of days we got on the phone and we talked about you because it was like, man, this young man got up here and said what he said about just being able to see black men doing black men stuff without combat, without arguing, and just saying, hey, I'm a young man, inspired y'all. Y'all inspired me. Man, we talked about that a lot. Actually, because of you, we're changing the platform a little bit. Because normally we only allow women to come up to ask questions. And now it's like, hey man, we got some brothers that's out there that want to ask questions just like you. So that's how. So you done help change the format of the panel.
Yeah, and you know, and I feel bad for that because I don't feel bad. I'm glad that I'm able to like help y'all out. But man, when that happened, because like remember when I first came in, I caught the tail end of y'all's platform. So y'all was just kind of going in. So I was just thinking that it was all about just like Black unity. But like man, like it really was inspiring to see because you know some of y'all don't know my story. I grew up in the projects. I'm a project baby. Like I'm not ashamed of that. Like it made me who I was, and I forgot their brother's name. He had the long beard.
But guess what? Everybody in that panel,
What?
we hood.
We hood, yeah.
We, I'm, I'm I'm from the east side of Indianapolis.
Right.
I'm
Okay.
hood all day,
All right.
right? Like so, you know, none of us in that panel, and more so, like none of us grew up with a silver spoon in our
Mm.
mouths. Everything that we got, we had to get out the mud. You know what I mean?
And that and that's okay because like me, like I said, this is straight up. You know, we can be. You know, the stereotypes is there, and I think that like you know a lot of people try to shy away from the stereotypes, but like it's not the stereotypes. It is what it is. Like it's what we come from. Like, and I think I say this all the time. Like, I think I had somebody on the podcast is that I think one of our biggest issues in the Black American community is that you know we have trouble trying to find an identity as a Black Americans because you know we've had so much taken from us. We don't have a true identity, I think, in my opinion, because like, but I said that's incorrect because we're adaptive. You know, we're elevators. You know, we can we've taken so much hurt that we turn into to pleasure. You know, y'all can't take our joy from us. And so I think that's kind of what our identity is that as Black Americans, we are innovators. We are people who can adapt, you know, and so we're evolutionaries. That's what I think that's who we are. And I think that once we can kind of get that in our perspective as who we are, I think we can grow bigger than that. And so I say all that to say this is like because you and I and the brothers we come from lower income places. Now we're here. You PhD and you know I'm trying to chase the same change PhD and like you know I think the biggest question is that starting off. I think this is the question I had asked y'all. Let me start with that right quick. Is that because I'm 35, I'm professional. You know, I've been on TV for God knows how long, but I feel like I'm by myself. You know, and you know, how do you? Because like you know, I know you're a little older than me, but how do you just as a 35-year-old, and then you know you got your PhD, so like, how do you combat that loneliness of being a professional, but still like not dealing like you have that survivor's remorse?
So, you know, I still got some homeboys that I rock with from seventh grade.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been friends since seventh grade, and now we're in our 50s. So you could kind of do the math on that. But as we went our separate ways and grew and kind of things like that, I just started putting myself in different circles,
Mm.
and that's like my friends that were my inner circles as we grew, and then we started to go do different. I mean, they were still my homeboys, but it was just some things that I'm like, well, I ain't gonna say that. A lot of the stuff that we got into, I started it, and then I started to change because it was something different. It was like, this ain't fun no more. But then I just found another group of people. So like with you being young and being a young professional and trying to get into some circles where you can still glean from and contribute to and have some people that you can get some wisdom from, you just got to change your circles. Like I would suggest, like join your local chamber of commerce, look at small business professional meetups, do the things like this where you can start to meet the people that you're desiring to meet. And for me, that's kind of what I did over the years. A lot of my homeboys right now, we all kind of just my 20 plus year friends, we all kind of just watched each other grow into who we are right now. A lot of my friends are doing well, but 15 years ago, we what? You know what I'm saying?
Right,
Like
right.
like it was just a consistency of finding a job here, working over here. And we just kind of all grew at the same time. Some of us grew faster than the other, but we stayed within the circle. And it was like, yo, I had somebody to lean on when I was down and out, when I'm sitting here thinking like, man, I need a job. I can't find a job nowhere. My homeboy's like, hey man, I'm over here at the security company. You want to go sell securities? And I was like, nah, I ain't really trying to sell securities, but it was the fact that he was offering an opportunity for me. You know what I mean? So as you are in this space, because I got a 19-year-old that I'm trying to put to get him to understand business as well. He's a photographer. He has his own business, and I'm teaching him the art of networking. I'm teaching him to try to put himself in position so that he won't feel like he's lonely out here. And he started to he just graduated 2 years ago. And some of his friends that were in high school, they were the stars and they were the shiny objects. Now he's the shiny object. You know what I mean? Based off of his success.
Right.
And so, you can't have the remorse. I'm not saying you can't. I would say I wouldn't take on the remorse because you just chose to make different choices.
Wow. I'm just having a hard time just kind of even putting that to even respond to that. And, the way you articulated it is definitely I very much deal with. And we're going to talk a little bit more about survivor's remorse. We have Dr. Maurice Ball. Make sure you stay tuned on the other side of the break to the Straight Up Soul podcast.
Voting. It's a right, a privilege, and a responsibility. Many have made the ultimate sacrifice just so we could have the ability to vote on what we believe is best for us and our community. So, we here at Straight Up ask you to do your research, let your voice be heard, and be proud to say, I straight up voted.
I think straight up means to be able to speak in a way that is straight up, to be honest and to speak your truth.
Raw, uncut, you know what I mean? It's blunt, straight to the point. This is what it is.
It's just a place to be open and honest, and that's what I appreciate most about it. And it provides a place for community members to come together and just be straight up with each other about things that are going on in the world, because it affects all of us.
Unfiltered, raw, with all the cursing that Calvin does.
Straight up is just being real, telling it like it is, being you.
Being solid, being who you are, no matter what it is, no matter what situation you're faced with, right? This is who you are. It really speaks to me, saying it is what it is and it ain't what it ain't, straight up.
All right, welcome back to the Straight Up Show podcast. I am your host, Calvin. Today, I have a special guest of mine. He is somebody I met on TikTok, where there was a panel of Black men just giving gems. And apparently, as it is, how fate happens, I came in at the last second. It wasn't the topic at hand. I just jumped in right away, and honestly, if you listen to me right now, that's kind of how I got to where I'm at right now, because I got in places where I wasn't supposed to be. But if you act like you're supposed to be there, you're supposed to be there. And it's kind of what happened when I met Dr. Maurice Ball. He is my guest today. So once again, Doctor, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today.
Well, man, thank you for having me. This is fun. I love it. I love it.
Like I said, man, you're the first. That's the first time not really, but just to hear people who I look up to tell me that I inspired them to change their platform, because I really didn't think I was doing anything. I thought I just want to ask a question, but because it was just like, to me, y'all were like celebrities to me, because it was, 6, 8 different Black men on a panel, and y'all all didn't agree. Y'all all didn't have the same, mindset, but y'all all could talk about it without fighting, because the world expects to see, when y'all see 8 Black men together, it's going to be a fight and stuff like that. And it's kind of what y'all said too, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's one of the reasons why I like that particular room, is because it ain't the testosterone in there. It's not trying to see who could pee the furthest or who could beat their chest the hardest. Or, our whole goal is to help people, and everybody that sits in that box is about helping people. So it's very non-competitive in that space, which is very rare when you get black men together who's been trained to compete through sports, through jobs, and everything else. So it's a real cool setting.
And that's kind of like my next question about just dealing with survivor's remorse. You already talked about like, hey, sometimes now that you're older, now that you're in a more professional setting, you have to go find your new circle now, which is kind of like,
Yeah.
you don't want to feel like a sellout, right? And so say if I did find my brand new circle, right, and I find another intelligent 35-year-old black male who is trying to succeed, how do we deal with that imagery of, or that feeling of competition? Because like, it's hard to feel like we can't be equal. We have to compete because, as in the society, especially in America, like you said, we have to be competitive. Like we have to be the first of everything, because if not, we already know how hard it is to even achieve a little bit of success. So how would you say that we can get away from that competitive mindset and actually try to work together?
The competitiveness only comes in when I think that I have to compete with you. But if you always show up as a servant, I'm never competing, because who's going to compete to serve? Right? Like being a servant, even in friendships, even when you meet somebody new, and that's in one of your peers who's doing well. But if you're there just as your authentic self, I don't present my credentials to nothing, because not only I have this doctorate, I also pastor a church, but I don't even tell people I'm a pastor. Why? Because I want people to just be their authentic self. I don't compete with other pastors. I don't do any of that. I'm here as a authentic person trying to connect with another authentic person, and we're going to go there. Like, and then I don't have any problem with extending my resources to anybody. Like we all out here trying to eat. So when you don't lead with your accolades and you just lead with a pure heart, then the competition is not even there, because I'm not trying to compete with you. And then you got it on the flip side, that person's like, yo, I met somebody who's just like me. You know what I'm saying? And it's the excitement of being able to have that bond and talk about things that you can't talk about with anybody else, which starts to create this energy. And so the competition is not really there. But now you will have those guys who will always try to compete. But at the end of the day, who you compete with? Because you can't beat me being me. Right?
Right.
Like I can't beat you being you. You go win that match 100% of the time. 10 out of 10, you go win. So as long as I'm confident in who I am and know who I am, and I'm not going to come in here and try to throw my weight around and anything like that. Man, I'm out here trying to meet good people. So what I would suggest for young people like you who are out here, throw the accolades out and just sit and be cool. Just sit and chill. And just get to know people for who they are, because just how you feel, they feel in the same way, and they feel like they're lonely and they're isolated, and they might not have anybody to talk to.
Man, I'm the same way, man. That's funny you said that, because and that's kind of like part of me growing up is like, I'm learning not to talk about the accolades, because one, I don't want people to glorify me for what I've done. You know what I mean? Right. And like I said, I want to be, like I said, and I think that's kind of like, especially today's society, and that's kind of like with now the person I am now, I hate being around people who don't want to be servants of people. That makes sense. You know what I mean? Like to me, and like, so I grew up in the church too. So it's just like, I want to use my talents to give back. I don't like me. I don't need a Porsche, or give me a big backyard. I'll be happy. The small things make me happy. Like seeing other people be successful and be happy and nurturing. That's kind of what I look forward to in life. And like, I wish more people would look the same way. Now, another thing that, especially like, we have one of our friends, shout out to my friend Trey. I call him Billy D. Williams because he looks identical to Billy D. Williams. Like he looks just like Billy D. Williams, like a younger version of it. But man, we have a friend, man, and I love him, man. But it's one of these things about how like just like we had to like cut him off because or keep him at a distance because we're the same age, but he's still doing like 15-year-old things. You know what I mean? Like, and there are friends back in Louisiana to where I know if I could go back on a Saturday at 9 o'clock. Right now, I know exactly where they are because it's been kind of a continuous habit, which is one of the reasons why I had to move away because that was that crab in the bucket mentality,
Right.
And I think that because life, man, especially now, and I know there's always a competition between black men and black women about who has the hardest, especially in America, and I don't like that subject because it's kind of touchy, and I don't want to say one person has it more than the other, but as a black man, it's hard. It really is. I don't think people understand. Like that's why I was trying to tell you the pressure. You remember that's the question I said. Like people don't understand that pressure. And the buddy from New York, and I forgot his name. Say it again. His name from New York, Velvet. He was saying like, don't be scared of the pressure. Embrace it. Like, can you kind of go in on about that? Just first off, can you explain to people the pressure I'm talking about? Being a black man, and also how do you deal with the pressure, or kind of go into why Velvet said embrace the pressure?
There's a uncommunicated expectation for black men, no matter where we are or what we're doing. We are expected to show up. We're expected to be able to produce. We are expected to have to do things 2 or 3 times, 10 times better than anybody else around us, even for us to get on the board. So it's just in our psyche to do that. And when you start to look and say, man, I'm carrying the weight, especially if carrying the weight of the family, especially if you're the first in a lot of these categories. If you're the first to graduate high school, if you're the first to go to college, if you're the first to graduate from college, if you're the first to go, the first puts a lot of pressure and uncommunicated expectation on us. So we're like, man, I broke free. But then when I go to the places where I should be accepted and received and celebrated, it becomes difficult because just because I'm succeeding, people think I'm better than them. And the pressure of trying to say I'm not better than you, and the pressure to trying to say when you go back to the block and you see your boys out there and you pull up in your whip that that you worked very hard for, and you're just trying to be like, hey man, I can't rock with y'all like that. I got responsibility. The pressure of what they're going to think, like, oh, he's like you said, one of the things you said, a sellout is like, oh man, how do I not be a sellout to my people when I'm out here just trying to live my best life and be who I am? Pressure is going to be the pressure is always going to be there. It's just a matter of getting used to it. Like a pressure right now, I'm a husband. The pressure changes once you get married. Then you start adding kids to that. Guess what? The pressure changes. Now you got to be a father. Then if you didn't have a father, how do you be something that you never seen? How do you become something that you didn't have an example of? Then if you're out in the community doing community stuff, that's another pressure because people are going to expect that, but it's just how we are crafted. We're built to handle this kind of pressure. But I also, along with that, you got to have outlets. You got to have scapegoats. You got to have things that detaches you from the pressure. Because if you don't have anything to detach you from the pressure, then that pressure can crush you. Like I have my releases. I go hoop with my son. I go out in my yard and cut my grass. I'll sit and veg out a little bit and just detach from everything. Why? Because when I step back outside these doors, I already know that I got to strap that backpack back on and get back to work. I got to look at my wife and look at my son. It's like, okay, got to go out here and do some things. I got to go. But it's easier when you just trust that God is God. It is easier when I say, okay, God, you are moving. You tell me that your yoke is light and your burden is easy. I have to trust that your yoke is light and your burden is easy. Because the moment I try to carry something that is not meant for me to carry, that's when I crumble under the pressure. But if I trust that God is God and he's faithful to his plan and he's faithful to his promise for my life, the pressure is on him, especially if you're doing something that he calls you to do. It's not up for you to make it happen. It's up for you to be obedient and watch him do what he's going to do on his end.
It's a reality. And like, I guess the delusion about me is that I don't want to accept that. I don't want to accept because like, and it's crazy because it's like, I'm not scared of it. It's the fact that, man, like, you know, like, I'm not saying that why us, like, okay, question, right?
Huh?
Do you think that in our lifetime, you know, that we'll see it, especially in America, that we can have a safe space to have that pressure taken off of us? The expectation to compare it to our white counterparts, you know what I mean? Like, because, you know, not being competitive, but like, we know how it is in America. White men have it way easier than black males. But do you think that in our generation or in our lifetime that we can have some of that pressure off of us?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, I equate that to there was people that never thought they would ever see a black president.
Right.
When you look at the old school people, the people that was in their 60s and their 70s, 80s, 90s, when Barack first got elected, they were saying, never in my lifetime did I ever think that I would see a black president.
Mm.
Pressure, right? But it happened. And I'll say this right here. When you take it off the macro scale and bring it down to the micro scale, you find your own space. You create your own spaces where you don't have to do that.
Mm.
So one of the things that I started last month, I got a bunch of cats that I rock with, and you know, we all the same. We all in our 50s, and I met this young cat. He about your age, and so I did this thing. Said, hey man, we just gonna do a talk on the deck. And I invited all the dudes over. We cooked some guy, kicked my wife out. I was like, yo, you gotta bounce. This is a guys only event. And so man, about 9-10 guys pulled up out of the 16 that I invited. Man, we just sat on my deck and we ate food, we laughed, we talked, we laughed at each other, we hugged at each other, we talked about marriage, we talked about because it's a safe space. There was no pressure there. So if you don't have it, sometimes you got to create it. And so in your lifetime, yes, you'll see you'll start to figure out like, yeah, I just can create these scenarios where young people are coming together in a safe space. Young black men are coming together in this safe space. And with no expectations or none, there was no expectations for anybody that came over here. I said, hey, we need some cups, we need some plates, we need some chips, and we need some sides. That's the only pressure you got. And if you came with nothing, guess what? It was okay. Because I'm about the fellowship.
Mm.
So create. So yes, to answer your question, would it have been how long? I think yes, but you're going to have to create your own spaces. But when you're talking about it, the macro and you know, around the world or around the country, at least, I think that's going to be a challenge, but I think it can happen. I think right now this current administration won't allow it to happen, but the fear is why you're seeing them trying to push so much stuff is that the white man is realizing that they're really a minority.
Yeah.
They're the minority with the majority of the power. And so all that power is going to start to evaporate, and the majority is going to start to overtake the spaces that they have. So I think, you know, the next presidency or the next presidency after that, you'll start to see some of these things change if the right person get in there that can start creating these some safe spaces for people as a whole.
I'm very optimistic too, because like I said, I just remember being in the kitchen with my grandma who lived in the country to where she couldn't vote as a woman. and she couldn't vote as a black female, as a black person. And to finally see her tears rolling off her eyes, and her name was Bertha, my name was Calvin. So to vote behind her in the voting line, I didn't know how powerful it was because I was 18. So to see her crying over Barack Obama, it didn't dawn on me how much it meant, to just even see that. So, I want to carry that futuristic of idealism and just actually, this can happen, and I can create these spaces. And, if it takes people like you and your friends, man, being on TikTok, man, like y'all, I just wish y'all knew how much of an impact y'all just seeing that, just even seeing it, not even knowing the subject because I didn't know it, but just to see that. And you know what? These 8 men who I don't even know can inspire me. And here we are today. So we have a little bit more with Dr. Maurice Ball. We're going to talk about just being in that safe space as Black men and how we don't have to look down on us for being vulnerable. Make sure you stay tuned to the Straight Up Show podcast.
It's Monday, and you know what that means. A new artist hits the Straight Up stage for another edition of Music Monday. Tune in to hear talented music artists from all over the world. Artists like Victoria Silk and Jonathan Valenzuela. Come experience some of the best that music has to offer and see why fans want more. Artists like the Rap Assassin 5. It's Music Monday, only on the Straight Up Show podcast. Are you an up-and-coming artist and would like your music to be featured on the show? Don't wait. Send us a message right now.
Straight up, we know that all lives matter, but historical events have shown that there is an inverse power dynamic between the races in our country. To highlight this, we present our Black Lives Matter merchandise. Because let's be real, some of you don't seem to understand that this isn't the organization, but a message. That message: end inequality towards minorities in America. And just in case that's too complicated for you in English, we have the phrase translated into 10 different languages. Visit straightupshowpodcast.com for this and all our other merch. That's STR8 showpodcast.com. Shirts as low as $19.99.
Hey everybody out there, I'm Sultan Salahuddin from Southside. Season 3 is out right now on HBO Max. Make sure you tune in, and make sure you tune in to the Straight Up Podcast Show whenever you are online. Peace.
Hey, welcome back to the Straight Up Show podcast. I am your host, Calvin. I got to take a quick question right quick to y'all. If you are watching or listening, make sure you go to our website, straightupshowpodcast.com. Subscribe to us because we have conversations like these today that we're having today. And we have Dr. Maurice Ball. Thank you so much once again for coming on the podcast today.
Man, I appreciate it. Appreciate you having me. I love seeing young men pursue their passions.
Yeah.
So this is good stuff for me. It is doing my heart good to see a young man out here striving to make a difference. So it's good stuff.
Yeah, and you know what? I really thought in this kind of area, I thought I was alone, and how I found y'all was that I wasn't alone, and so y'all just don't understand. Like, representation matters a lot, and that's kind of what our country thrives on is representation. Y'all see us, people getting mad because, Nick Fury is black or The Little Mermaid is black, and y'all getting so triggered by it. But I'm like, you don't know how important representation is. And it's a kid movie, and these kids don't care as long as it's a Little Mermaid. And so it's just, if we can have that mindset and see that, hey, people are represented, man, it makes people happy. And that's the ultimate goal in life, is to be happy and not miserable, not to be hateful. So when I met Dr. Maurice Ball and I saw his brothers with him, like, man, I found out at a good time, and God knows what he's doing because, Dr. Ball, I'm tired. Like,
Right.
I am tired. Like, I am tired. And I want to jump right into this. It's like, I'm tired because, you know, I've been through like a bad friendship, relationship, situationship, breakup. And it really has put me in a depressed state. And I'm so blessed because I have, you know, friends who were professional psychologists and who've been on the podcast to kind of give me some coaching and stuff like that. But, you know, even though they give me coaching, the thought is still there, how it happened. And, you know, and I've lost friends because of my heartbreak. And to see the amount of people just leave you when they see you down because, you know, they see me as Calvin. Like I have to, and Dr. Ball can attest to this, and he just said it. Like, we have to be on point 24/7. Like, I have to be Calvin. I have to be Uncle. I have to be your brother. I have to be the podcast guy. I have to be the news guy. I have to be the radio guy. Like, I'm always wearing different hats. So I don't have the time. And when people see me vulnerable and sad, you're not sad, man. Come on, Kyle. So Dr. Ball, my question to you is that there's a big stigma, especially on social media, that they say that, hey, black men, we're here for you. You know, you can cry to us. Like, but we don't want to do it because we feel like oftentimes, some of us at least, if we even cry in front of people, or if we get sad in front of people, we're scared that it may be used against us or it may see us as being weak. You know, I'm pretty sure that you probably had some elders before you that thought the same way. So in this generation, is it okay to be vulnerable as black men, or do we just not have to? Do we have to keep holding that cover over us to where we don't want to be vulnerable because we're scared it may make us look weak?
Great question. And really, being vulnerable is a sign of strength. The more vulnerable you can be in your weaknesses and stand up under those shows a sign of strength. The challenge is we never been taught how to be vulnerable because, as you said, my dad wasn't like this, but I had some uncles and some cousins like, men don't cry and you can't do that. Like, men ain't supposed to express themselves. So what we supposed to do with these emotions? Like, where do they go? If I can't express my emotions right here, right now, where do they go? I internalize them. Then what does that do? That makes me mad. It makes me angry. It makes me short. So then I become the angry black man. Why? Because I have never, it's like shaking a pop up. You shake it up, and then you take off the top, then it's just going to come bubbling out. Well, if I don't have these safe spaces to be vulnerable, then I'm going to be the angry black man. And so there's nothing wrong with crying. I got a 19-year-old. First, my dad, he gave me the space to cry. He never was like, men don't cry. So I learned emotional intelligence from my dad. Didn't understand any of that back then. I just knew that my dad wasn't like, suck those tears up. He was like, okay, you cried enough. Like, it's okay. But there comes a time where the tears have to stop. But it was never a hard stop crying. And so when I engage with my son, I give him the opportunity to express himself. I give him the opportunity to manage his emotions. Sometimes they all out of whack as a teenager because they out of whack emotions as a teenagers turn into out of whack emotions as an adult. You just become an older version of what you are. So being able to create these spaces and not walk around and think that I can't be vulnerable. So because somebody's going to use that as a weapon. What are they going to say? Oh, you was crying? Okay. Like, I cried in public. What you doing? Crying in private and trying to come out here and be all hard? Nah, bro. And the moment that you're able to be vulnerable, then somebody else will be vulnerable with you. One of the things that I've learned as a mentor is I'll share some very vulnerable stuff right up front, just so you can know that I don't care what you do with this information because there's really nothing that you can do with this information. But what it does is it makes you comfortable to start sharing information with me. And once I can get you to start sharing information with me, and I'm a safe space, that I'm not taking your information and then beating you over the head with it. And this is why we don't share this information, is because before I tried to share it, you took it and you weaponized my emotions, and then you made me clam up because that was supposed to be something between me and you, and then you turned it against me, or you went and shared it with somebody else. Now I can't trust you. Now I just sit in this space and don't talk to anybody. That's not healthy. You cannot make it like that. So what I suggest is levels of vulnerability based on the situation and who you're talking to. Some people need to know the depth of the situation, right? Some people just need to know bits and pieces of the situation. Some people just need to know the beginning of the situation. And that's based off of your conversation that you're having with them, that you're able to hear and say, okay, I'm hearing something that's similar to something that I went through. They're kind of right here. Why would I'm not going to give them the depth of it, but I'll give them something to let them know, hey, I understand where you are because I used to be, or I did this, or I experienced, and give them what they can handle. And that's how I even talk to my son now. Now that he's 19, I can say, now, there's no age appropriate thing that I can't say, but when he was younger and I'm trying to explain it to him, I had to make it age appropriate, you know? So there's nothing wrong with being vulnerable. Vulnerable is strength. If you look at meekness, meekness is strength under control. That's all vulnerability is being able to be vulnerable, but be able to be strong under that. And because it gets exhausting carrying the shield all the time. It gets exhausting trying to stand up under that thing. When do you have and if you're putting on all these hats, like you said, if you keep putting on these hats, when do you have time? When do you just take off all the hats and say, you know what? Today this is what they get.
And then when you do that, they're like, man, you just the a-hole, or you just this, and then you just this.
But it's not that you're that.
Right.
It's because they done boxed you in and they expect you to be a certain way all the time. So when you come, it's like, nah, who do you plug into?
Right.
You know, like the way that God has wired me, I'm an empath, but I'm an empath that know how to transfer emotions. So what an empath is somebody who absorbs people's emotions and then they carry those emotions. So I am able to absorb a lot. I have a lot of people plugged into me all the time, but I'm able to absorb it and then transfer it out and not carry it around. So if you're depressed, your depression don't get on me, then I'm depressed. Normally that's what happens with an empath, but I'm able to absorb it, help take the weight off of you, and then able to transition it out somewhere else. That's just how God wired me. And so it's being able to so I have people that I pour into, you know, that I need to talk to too, but I don't have to talk to them. I don't have to recharge my battery because people recharge my battery. So I'm able to be vulnerable with students. I'm able to be vulnerable with my wife, which was a whole nother topic that she wasn't a safe space for me recently. And I had to tell her that she wasn't a safe space, and it shocked her because now I'm not talking. I can't be vulnerable to her if she's not my safe space. Then I can't even be comfortable in the house, you know. So, but we worked through that. But there's nothing wrong with a man being vulnerable, or nothing wrong with showing that you are a human being, because that's all it is. You are showing that you are human and that you're not the Terminator and an android up under that skin that has no emotions, and you're just you're here to just work and be a robot. Nah, I'm human. So when you start being vulnerable with people and they start reacting a certain way, you say, I'm human. I need to remind you that, you know, I am just like you. This is flesh and blood, just like yours. So it comes with this thing called emotions. And I'm just right now, this is just where I'm at.
Man. That's straight up. That's being straight up right there. That's really being straight up. And as I fade through the black, that's being like just to even say you had to tell your wife that you wasn't in a safe space, man. That's that's really protecting your peace right there.
Well,
Which is scary because, like I said, man, that's kind of now it's amazing to see the things I was at a young age to where I'm at now, to where I know that now, like even with my mom, like or whoever, like, hey, my peace comes first. Like I need it because that's all I got right now. And I think what you said, and this kind of leads me into my last topic and question is that you don't have a lot of people don't have that safe space, and especially like people always see us as angry black men. In my last relationship, the person was a different race, he was Latino, and like haven't ever even dealt with that before. So it was like, hey, they saw me as hey, you are just one. I was stereotyped because I'm black, but I have 2 college degrees. So that was like, wait, what? You have 2 college degrees? Yeah, I do. I'm one of those. Like I do. I'm that guy. So
right,
that was
smart ones.
yeah, that was one stereotype. But then it was like, you see me as this one person, but like I think I forgot the guy's name, man. It's so many of y'all, but like he was just saying like, yeah, I'm from the hood, but the hood can come out. So I kind of held that back from that relationship until like when I let things build up. Then the hood came out. And then when the hood came out, they saw me as angry black man.
Right.
And it was like, being a young African-American man, like that's when I think things start to it shows you who you're going to be. Right. And I think with now, especially that we've glorified or people have glorified YNs now, and like, if you don't know what a YN is, you can just kind of read between the lines. But just having the YN culture now, especially when it comes like, one thing about us, we love music. You look at Maurice's background, you can see, if you're listening, you can see his background, or you can hear that. I can tell you this background is music, Michael Jackson, Bob Marley, Prince. And so, these are musical influence, but now the music influence now is to really empower YNs in that culture. So, and this is kind of, I'm not a doctor like you, but like, I think that a lot of the YN culture is influenced because there's no outlet to really push out the anger, what they're going through, especially me, because, I was one of those angry kids and I was running away from home and doing dumb stuff like that because I had no one I can talk to. When it comes to the YN culture and just not having an outlet, how can we reach the younger black males today?
Well, first, stop referring to them as YNs. I refer to them as YMs.
YMs? Young man, okay.
Yeah. You're a young man.
Yeah.
And when you change the title, you change the definition, right? If I call you a YN, I'm expecting you to act as a YN. But if I call you a young man, now you got an internal conflict that you gotta deal with. Your actions should be different, young man. So, but to reach them, you have to be able to be relatable and relevant and tangible to what they're going through. You have to be able to get in and be vulnerable, right? Because most of them are coming from single parent households. Probably 80% out of a single mother household. Who never had a positive male at all, who's angry for whatever reason that their dad is not in the picture. And it could be part of the what was put into them, the narrative that was written by the mom.
Right.
Like I got a couple of homeboys right now who haven't seen their sons in years, because the narrative that's being written by the mom, which then creates this young, angry male that goes out here and now they partner up with other angry males. Because what's happening? Trauma bonding.
Yeah.
So that's how we get into gang. I don't have a dad. You don't have a dad. Okay, we have something in common, but we have to be able to give them the opportunity to express themselves without condemning them, but also speak truth to them in love. Because, yeah, you out here until you catch a hot one.
Mm.
It sounds good until you land up in here and you got to get these bullets pulled out of you. You know what I'm saying? Like I used to have a mentorship program in high school, and I used to have these young dudes that's like, I'll ride for my homies and blah blah blah. And I'm, oh really? So if it came down to you doing a life, doing 15 years locked up, or you not snitching, because if you ask me a question and I tell the truth, is that snitching? Nah, that's me telling the truth. And now you're not in trouble. Or are you going to be okay with that? Nah, I'm going to ride. Okay. Something popped off at school. It got real crazy. They started expelling people from school. Guess what? I ain't see you ride with them. Oh, you had a change of heart. Oh, I ain't getting expelled. What's the difference? You know what I'm saying? But at this point, we just have to acknowledge that these young men just need the guys that are telling them to go out and be these young people that are out of control. They're not living like that. So they have to learn how to have they got to learn how to separate the entertainment value, but also they got to see somebody. If you don't have no examples, what do you become? The closest thing that you see. You said it earlier. Representation matters. It always matters. I came out of an all-black high school. All my teachers were black. My principal was black. And guess what? A lot of my friends went into education. My son was 7 out of 797. Right? And if we throw in the mixed kids, that you're talking about 25. We live in an area where it's we're the 1% of the area. So we have to give them better examples. We have to show them a different way. They have to see guys like you being successful in your field. Create something and go to the school and say, "Hey, I just want to talk to young black men next year and see what kind of. Hey, I have a podcast. I do this. Do you got any young men that you can feed me?" Guess what? I guarantee you the school say yes. I guarantee it 100% that they say yes. Okay. There's not a school in America that does not need a black male in it. Period. And you're going to be the one on the flip side talking to the young guy in your situation, saying, "Bro, I was just like you. Now I'm the OG." So these YNs, these young men, just have to have better examples, and we can't be scared to reach out and reach them, because all it takes is one.
One of my cousins, I grew up watching, man, and he was definitely in the streets, and I wanted to be like him so bad, man, because he was my big cousin. And man, like, and it's crazy because they used to protect me from so much stuff, and I didn't even know why I couldn't do certain things and things like that. And it didn't dawn on me until the older I got. They were protecting me from things, you know what I mean? And like, and I used to get so mad. So I would go out and create my own problems because they wouldn't let me be part of the activities, and they still protected me, and then like not even 2 weeks ago, because sometimes people always say like, you're from Louisiana, where's your accent? But when you work in media, you kind of lose your accent a little bit. But then when he called me, my accent came back, code switching. And that's a different topic. But when he said, and I hadn't talked to him in a minute, and when he said that, man, like, I'm proud of you. I watch you from afar, and I'm proud of what you done. So like when somebody I looked up to who is now, becoming older now, telling me he looks up to me, like Dr. Ball, I almost cried because I'm like, man, I was trying my hardest to be like you, and I didn't know what you were protecting me from, because like to the older I got, and I told him, man, I owe you, because, I wanted to be like y'all. I wanted to be down on the block and do this and that. And, even when I tried to do my own troubles, y'all got put me in, in place. And, and I used to hate y'all for not letting me be a part of all that. And then like now I see why. And then so it was a bonding moment that I thought would never happen, because I'm over here just living life, and I'm being watched, and my OG tells me he's proud of me. So like, you're 100% right. I definitely agree with you.
And just know this: somebody's always watching.
Oh yeah.
I tell my son that all the time. Somebody's always watching. Always.
Man, Dr. Ball, man, like even this conversation we've had today, I've learned so much. I'm gonna have to go back and just like listen to this podcast again because like you taught me so much in this brief moment we had, and even beforehand meeting y'all like on TikTok Live, and even today, man, I'm just taking back a lot of you said, and like I'm educated, and I got to just say thank you so much for coming on the podcast today.
Well, man, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And anything that, and the guys, any of those guys would love to come on here, and I'm gonna tell them, tell them that they need to pull up because we all have the same desire. Like some of them are old enough to be your dad. Like if I would have had you at 17, that's what you said. You 35.
35, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm 17, 18 years older than you.
Okay.
You could be my son.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so some of them have kids your age.
Mm.
So we want to help. We want to pay it forward as much as we can, and not just those guys there. I got some other homeboys that like. I got some homeboys that we all like. We old now, like you know what I'm saying. But we all trying to pay it forward. We all trying to be the example. We all trying to be out here making a difference. And whatever little thing that we could do to help another young man build his platform, get his shine on, man, we all for it because nobody in my circle is trying to be a gatekeeper.
Mm.
We all understand that we all got to eat. And sometimes I might be in the door that you need to get into, and all you need to do is ask. Just that simple.
And I appreciate that, man, because like I said, one of the things, man, I had to talk to you because like, when, I travel and it's like, man, I just at a point to where I say, I'm tired, man. I feel like I'm alone. Like, I gotta be different hats, and then, I can't even tell y'all when I tell y'all God ain't there when you want him. He's there on time. Like just he's there when you need him. And I was over here just struggling, and even like hearing the relationship aspects of y'all's conversation. And just even listening to other people. Man, I was just in there, and me, I'm one of those people who loves knowledge. I don't ever want to be the smartest person in the room. Like I want to be the dumbest person in the room because. That's why I'm unscripted because I want to learn. I want to ask questions and learn from it. And, just to even be in the room with y'all, it has been a pleasure. It has been a pleasure and a privilege to even talk to you right now. So you got me going to like different directions about pursuing my PhD and things like that, man. So like, just to even see y'all do y'all thing, man, all I can say is thank you. So thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Your whatever movement that you do, somebody's watching, and it's a daisy chain. Somebody's going to draw inspiration when they see you start to move in a certain direction. So again, somebody's always watching. And I just want to encourage you as your brother, as well, you could call us Unk because we all unks up in that thing. Man, look, anytime you got any questions, you got my number. You can holler at me anytime. About anything. This is, I'm making myself available, but I definitely just want to encourage you to dream big. Dream big and go hard after that, after your dreams. Because if you feel that God has called you and ordained you to do what you're doing, then don't discount him because you don't want to outshine your homeboys. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah. Let God be God in your life and keep it moving.
Dr. Ball, I appreciate that. I thought you was going to tell me to be a preacher, man, because look, let me tell you. So I tell you a quick story right quick. So there was a guy named Pastor Mr. Ike He was an old man in the projects, you know, and the projects, y'all, it's like a hood university. I call it a hood university. And in the projects, man, Mr. Ike, and he will always, I was 5 years old, and he'll tell my mom, like, that boy gonna be a preacher one day. And I'm like, at 5 years old? So, and I always hear, you should be a preacher. You should be a preacher. I'm like, oh, no, man, I don't know about that. So I thought you was going to go that route. I said, man, if one more person tells me I should be a preacher, man, I don't know.
But you are preaching.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What's your pulpit? Your podcast.
Right.
What's your congregation? Your audience.
Right.
Preaching is not behind a pulpit anymore. That was the only way that we could do that, was behind the pulpit. Now, preaching is where you are. You have a captive audience that listens to you every time you put your podcast on. You facilitate. You talk. You edify. You encourage. Pastor. It's
Right.
just that it's just your pulpit is your podcast.
Yeah. Hey, Dr. Ball's good, y'all. Like he's good. I give him that. He's good, man. Like it's rare that you see me lost for words. So it's just right now, I'm trying to take it all in right now. Like I said, these guys to me, y'all are the Black Avengers, man. Y'all over here just saving the world and saving, like, guiding us in the right way and helping, like, not only just Black men, but people move forward too, because I've seen the work y'all have done with Black women too. And we can talk about that later on when we have Christina on the show, because Christina is one of them ones. She's ex-military. That she's a good one. But like that's my longtime college rival. But you know we love each other. But man, that's a tough cookie right there. So man, just to see what y'all have done to educate Black women as well about Black men, definitely has been a phenomenal thing to see. I would love to invite you and the guys back on the podcast if you accept the invitation.
We'll pull up and have a good old grand old time with all them.
All right. And Dr. Ball, before you go, can you please just tell how people can see you and the Bros? And, you know, you yourself have a podcast. Can you just tell us how we can find you on social media and all your platforms? I
am at Maurice Ball on all social media platforms, at YouTube at Maurice Ball, Instagram. You got to put a 1 at the end of it, but at Maurice Ball on everything, all my platforms. My podcast is called Open for Discussion. And I do the same thing that you're kind of doing, but we just focus on the life and the journey and the story of whoever I'm talking to. And then me and my wife do a thing on TikTok on Sundays at 7 p.m. Eastern, where we're going to probably move it back to 8, but 7 p.m. Eastern, where it's called Married Life with the Balls. And we just put our marriage on display because, again, as we talked about being examples, there's not a lot of positive marriages out there. So we put our marriage on display and we just talk married stuff. And people who desire to be married, you ain't got to be married to pull up on that. But if you desire to be married, you want to know what it takes to be married 22 years. So we do that, and then Wednesday we are on at 8:30, and we're normally on there till about 11:30 or 12, and it is centered around dating for older people, more so 40 and over, and we just kind of coach people on how to get back into this dating game that's been out of it, who's looking to get in the dating game, who's currently in the dating game, and you have 6 to 9 brothers up there just sharing information.
And y'all, when I tell y'all, if you don't join anything that Dr. Ball is doing on Sunday, Wednesday, any of that, y'all are missing out because, like I said, if you think Dr. Ball was a gym, I can only imagine how his wife is. I can only imagine how his other friends are. And then trust me, I already know how Wednesdays are. So, like I said, make sure you follow Dr. Ball, Maurice Ball. I'm gonna have, if you're listening, I'm gonna have all this information on the show's description. And if you're watching, you'll see it on the ticker below. But until then, Dr. Ball, once again, I can only tell you thank you so much for coming on the Straight Up Show podcast.
I appreciate it. So, guess what? You gotta be straight up on here.
Yes, sir.
And it was a good show. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. And thank you so much, y'all. Hey, Dr. Ball. Hey, that's the end of our show today, but the conversation does not have to stop. Make sure you go to our website at straightupshowpodcast.com. That's STR8upshowpodcast.com. There you can see Dr. Ball's interview from today, previous episodes, and hear more about conversations like the one we had today that's so inspirational, so motivational, and have you coming back for more. Also, if you want to support the podcast, make sure you go to our Patreon page at patreon.com/Podcast 318. That's patreon.com/Podcast 318. Until then, there's only one rule to our show. You gotta be
straight up.
All right. See y'all later.